Yep. So perfect. So yeah, so we've got a credit class, which that was one of you had brought that up, is that you would love to have a credit class. And I've really been studying credit as of late, and found some little specific tricks of the trade, per se, that you can use to increase credit scores. We'll share those with you. I think, the 1st of December. And then we've got another class here, kind of mid-December, before kind of the Christmas holiday, on advanced strategies. So this class we actually made special for you. There is some content in this class that we've shared in past contents, just a little bit, but or past presentations. But really, this is really a new class for you guys. So and that. And so we called it the move up buyer, and we find that at least I find that today in this market, we've got 1.5 months worth of inventory right now, 1.8 months worth of inventory right now. So part of our struggle is we've got tons of buyers out there looking for houses, and we don't have a lot of buyers that are getting their offers accepted because we don't have a lot of sellers on the market. So we wanted to chat with you about those things and really walk through with you some ideas that I had on that I've shared with other agents that have helped them to be able to create more buyers, and then go from there. And then also talk to you. Really, what stemmed this class was about 2 weeks ago, I had a servicer of a mortgage of a client that we work with that refinanced one of our clients and really did a major disservice to him. So I'm going to share with you really the lies that the servicers are telling clients. And also I'm going to share with you the really strategies that really make the most sense and how to help your clients, because really the name of the game is to be able to help your clients, and your clients are the ones that you can help move up. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here. There we go. And I'm going to share it in such a way that, and Tracy, you should see my screen, correct? Move up buyer.
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. So for some reason, I was just in a webinar presenting just before this one, and that little box isn't around my screen, so I can't tell if it's sharing.
Oh, it is sharing. It does show what's coming up next over on the left-hand side, where we don't usually see that. Okay. Yeah.
I decided, at this point, I'm not going to do the PowerPoint. I'll show my slide. And if you guys want to switch from gallery view, if the slides are really tiny, to speaker view, then it will be in your whole screen. So little trick of Zoom. That's what we're on.
Okay.
So today we're going to talk about really learning how to help your clients get off the fence, if they are teetering one way or the other way. Why refinancing may not be the best for your clients. Review the numbers behind refinancing and selling, and then learn what your clients are being told by their current servicers. So really going through some homeowner stats, and what I'm going to do here is I change this. Sorry, guys. So I'm looking at the camera. There we go. So really going over some stats in that. We'll start to discuss those and things that I found in my studies, really that I can present to you guys. And really my hope is that as I'm giving you this information, this is information that you can give to your clients as well. It's kind of food for thought as to why they may want to sell in this market, why they may want to sell today opposed to later. So homeownership is an important source of wealth creation, enabling current homeowners and succeeding generations to move up the economic ladder. So, we know as lenders and as realtors, we know that housing is a wealth creator. We know that people inherently buy a house, and then after 5, 6, 7 years, they then, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. They move up, and then they move up again, and then they move up again. And typically they move up again, they stay in that house for a while, and then they move down. So we know that housing is a continual movement for those individuals. And we also know that if a mortgage is managed correctly, that it can create massive wealth. So right now, when we're looking at the percentage of homeowner equity in the United States, 42% of all homes out there do not have a mortgage. So that's a tremendous amount of individuals that could potentially move up, or maybe they're baby boomers and maybe they need to move out into something smaller. So there's a tremendous opportunity with those individuals. We're looking at 16%, 16.6, have anywhere from 60 to 99% equity, 41 to 60% equity is around 12.5% of the market. And then 21 to 40% equity is around 15% of the market. So that's also something to share with individuals. This is a great slide to be able to share with individuals for those people thinking that we're heading into really a housing bust. Because the difference between now and in 2008, when we had the housing bust, was that in 2008, the majority of homeowners didn't have equity. So they had refinanced many times. They pulled out a ton of equity. I mean, you could do 95% cash out refinances at the time, to where if the value went under that 95%, now they're in the hole. Where today, a cash out refinance, you're stuck to 80% loan to value. So lending guidelines are much more responsible today than they were back in 2008, 2009. The other thing is that to get a mortgage today is harder than it ever has been. It's much harder to get a mortgage today, even than it was just 9 months ago. We work extremely hard as a team to be able to help bridge that gap and help individuals through that process. One thing I didn't do is I don't know here. I don't know if Susan's on the call with us, but Susan's one of my team members. She's awesome, Susan Dunphy, one of our loan officers as well. So I want to recognize her. So here we have, another slide, and again, you can share this with your homeowners in that. 58.7% of all homes in America have at least 60% equity. That's massive. And those are the people that we can talk to about these strategies. Those are the people that potentially could move up or move down. We're looking at an average of $177,000 worth of equity. Massive. So I pulled this. I don't know who Adam is, ATTOM, who had said this, but I pulled this slide from Keeping Current Matters. And they said that, in this article here, home sellers nationwide realized a gain of $75,971 on the typical sale, up from $66,500 in the first quarter, and up from $65,250 in the second quarter of last year. So the gain in Q2 of 2020 was higher, and it continues to be higher. So the latest figure based on median prices and resale prices marked yet another peak level of raw profits in the United States. So showing that, again, we're recovering from the Great Recession in 2012. Now we get into, homeowners who feel like life is uncertain right now, may think that they can still get along, a strong price if they delay selling until they have more clarity. The catch is that waiting to sell may raise the cost of a trade-up. This falls record low mortgage rates, which make a trade-up more affordable on a monthly basis, are not guaranteed to last. Now, we know that in the current economy, we know that the Fed has talked about keeping the Fed funds rate low. So that means really mortgage rates should stay low. That means that the Fed doesn't really see inflation in the market as much. Um, and so, or at least it's not, um, they're not as worried about it for the next couple of years. So that means really bond traders should continue to buy mortgage-backed securities. We're hoping the Fed will continue to buy mortgage-backed securities, keeping our rates low. Really, the housing economy, as you know, is one of the things is really one of the only things that's keeping the economy afloat right now. So with that, rates should stay low. Well, they'll stay low the rest of this year. Should stay low next year. They're going to start to rise a little bit, but when you're going from 2.75 to 3%, those are incredible rates, absolutely incredible rates. So we find that, according to a Zillow report, there are really three top reasons why homeowners are not putting their house up on the market. And I think we need to address each one of these with the potential homeowner when they're looking at selling selling their house. So one is 31% are financially uncertain. They're really worried about things as they're coming forward. 34%, life is too uncertain right now. And we've got COVID, we've got shutdowns, we've got freezes, we've got a lot of different things. However, remember, through that, one slide that you can show them is that we've had a higher yield on housing, a higher profit margin on housing in that second quarter of the year than we had, which that's COVID, during that COVID period. So, and then 25% really have COVID health concerns. So somebody coming into the house, bringing COVID into the house and whatnot. And so really just talking to homeowners about how you're going to be safe and how you're going to protect them. And one thing that in the webinar that I had just done, it was to a bunch of mortgage professionals. We talked about the value of video. And so maybe video plays a much more certain role moving forward for those homeowners that are really worried about COVID than in the past. And that's one thing that we talked about, is that really video is here to stay, and it's going to continue. So look at ways that you can help clients understand that the economy is going well. We've got some problems, but ultimately it's going well, and then it's going to continue going well, and that ultimately rates are going to be low for a while, which really means a supply and demand issue is going to be at foot for quite some time, where we've got a lot of demand, we've got a lot of buyers that want to buy, and we just don't have a lot of sellers that want to sell. So a lot of those sellers are going to be selling for top dollar. And at the end of the day, really, it's fear. Clients are really fearful in this market. And so one thing that helps me is to be that calm voice with people that are fearful. They talk, when we're getting them pre-qualified, a lot of clients talk about the fear of the economy, the fear of, should I be out looking at houses? What should I be doing? And so it's really being that leader that you guys are, giving the client statistics, help keeping them safe, and being that voice of reason for them, so that ultimately, when you do have a seller, and they're wanting to sell, they can just laugh fear right in the face. So that's what that slide's for. So I wanted to bring this forth here, because really this is talking about how inventory has helped really the housing economy, but ultimately to show your clients really inventory levels. They have gone down for quite some time. We had high inventory levels back in 2008, 2009, and where now we really don't have a lot of inventory levels, and housing really becomes a supply and demand issue. So we found with COVID that there's a lot of renters that want to get out of their rentals. There's a lot of people that are staying in apartments that want to get out of their apartments. So helping your buyers really understand, hey, look, we've got a lot of people that they want to buy. You can sell for top dollar now. And they may say, hey, we can sell for top dollar next year as well. Well, that's correct. But ultimately, don't forget that your house is going up in value, but also the house that you're looking at is also going up in value as well, that same percent. So one thing that we found is that, of course, housing also becomes a game of who's getting married. And so just walk with me on this for just a little bit. So we find that really people are starting to get married at an older age as we go forward here. You know, when you go back to 1960, women were historically in their 20s when they got married. Men were 23, 22, in there somewhere, 23, they were getting married. And so as we go throughout the 80s and 90s, that age keeps getting higher and higher. And so people are really waiting to get married. And what we find interesting about that is that really children have a tendency to drive home purchases. And we're finding that really the average age of individuals purchasing a home right now is between 30 and 39 years old. So those are the average ages of first-time home buyers. Now, of course, we get some younger ones and we get some older ones, but the average is really that 30 to 39 years old. 38% of them have no children. And so, and I'm sorry, 38% of 30 to 39-year-olds who are married have no children. And at least 80% of that bracket that have gotten married do have a child. They have at least one child. And so they then want to start looking at buying a house. You also look at recent data here. Over time, more and more individuals are starting to really look at baby registries. That tells us more and more people are starting to have children and moving forward from there. So as we also look at, we look at really the next wave. Now, it's interesting to watch, and I watched this show a long time ago about the baby boomers and really the different industries that they helped as they moved forward. And the baby boomers helped to really make Ford successful with the Ford Mustang and Chevy successful with the Chevy Camaro and that. And so as we go forward, we start to look at really at demographics of individuals who are starting to purchase houses. Now, when you go back to, you go back to really in the 70s, roughly, you had those individuals that were starting to get to be born, the Gen Xers that were starting to be born. In 2006 is really when they reached 33 years old, kind of that magic number. And at that time, of course, 2008, we had a bust in the market. Well, you can see that they started going down. The ages started going down, and then after 2008, 33 years later, you see that their ages started increasing. So as we're looking at that same thing today, really we're looking at what is that, about 88, 89 in there somewhere. Those individuals are 33 years old today. And so you see also that there's an increase of individuals that are going to be 33 years old for the next several years, 3, 4, 5 years. And then we start to get a decrease, but we never go back down to where we were in 2006, really 7, 8, and 9, where those individuals kind of had a gap there. So I may not be doing a great job at explaining that, but the idea is that we have more people hitting the first-time homebuyer age than ever before in the history of us working on mortgages. And so with that, it really looks like the markets are going to be strong for years to come. And I'm talking, years and years and decades to come. So there was a couple quick questions that I saw. Good morning. Maybe it's not. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, Just go ahead and put them in here. It looks like everybody's saying hi. So perfect. Okay. So I'm going to share with you a slide that, yeah. Okay. So I want to share with you this slide because this is really what your current clients are being told. So people that you've helped to obtain mortgages with. So let me back up before I show this. I want to share with you the story. So we do a mortgage review with our clients every year, and a little over a year ago, we had a mortgage review with this client, and he ended up not making his mortgage review. I looked at the current market and didn't look like that really we could do anything for him at that time, help him save a whole lot of money. So really the strategy was to stay in his current loan. Now, when we helped this client purchase a home a little over 2 years ago, he was in an FHA loan. And within an FHA loan, remember that you have mortgage insurance the whole life of the loan. The only way to get out of that is to refinance, or sell. So ultimately, the strategy for him was he wanted to buy the house. He was going to be in this loan for 2, 3, maybe 4 years, where then we would refinance him into a conventional loan. We would not be going back into FHA. We'd be going into a conventional loan. So, so that was the strategy. Now, a year and a half ago, or a little over a year ago, when his mortgage review came, didn't make sense. We emailed him, he didn't respond. So we just kind of let it be at that point. And then as the mortgage review is coming up this year, we're emailing out to him and he doesn't respond. So we call him and he sets up his mortgage review. So we're excited to have a mortgage review with him to see how he's doing, to reconnect with the client. So during the mortgage review, we ask really these questions. So, well, actually here, I'll share those with you here in a little bit. But we ask these questions. How are you enjoying your house? Is it still working for you? Because remember, a lot of borrowers are working from home these days. A lot of clients are working from home. So is it still working for you? How are your neighbors? Are you enjoying your neighbors? And what are your long-term plans? So we want to know what their goal was. And if their goal was to be in the house for 5 years, we want to know, is that still what your goal is? Because people's goals, they do change over time. And COVID is changing a lot of them for them right now. So, so with that, it was, this client said, we're loving our house. Yes, it's still working for us. We love our neighbors. They're awesome. And long-term plans that we're going to stay in the house at least 5 to 7 more years. So I said, great. So I asked another question, and that is, do you still have the loan that we placed on the house when we did your mortgage? So he said, at that point, he said, well, we have the same servicer. So I knew that he had refinanced. So I said, let's go over the loan that they did for you. What type of loan did they do? And he said, well, they did this loan. It's called a streamline loan. That it was super fast, super easy. They didn't need a lot of documentation from me. And ultimately, they saved me $291 a month. Now, for me, and I'm like, hey, that's awesome. $291 a month. That's huge. That's perfect. But I knew that that wasn't the strategy that we'd originally set forth. And strategy is very, very important. So I knew that on a streamline, otherwise known as an FHA streamline loan, he went from an FHA loan into a new FHA loan. So I knew that with that, he at that point had, he just got hit for mortgage insurance again, a 1.75% fee financed on top of his loan amount. So that I know right there is about $4,200. So I knew that he spent $4,200 on his new mortgage that he didn't have to in the past. And he said, well, there were no closing costs. I didn't pay a dime. So Now this gentleman he's a blue collar guy. He is a hard worker. He doesn't understand finance as well. Um, and so, and he makes pallets for a living. I mean, just an awesome, hardworking guy. Wants to take care of his family, has an opportunity to save $291 a month. He doesn't even bat an eye. He rolls forward, he signs everything, and he funds. So I asked him to please get the loan documents and let's take a look at a few things, because I know that already what he said, the fact that he didn't have any closing costs, wasn't accurate. And this is what servicers are telling clients. So, so I said, okay, what was your, you owed X, what's your new loan amount? And he then said, well, my new loan amount, my old, what I owed was $261,000. And my new loan amount now is $271,663. So I knew through that he indeed did have closing costs. So they also took him from a 5% rate to a 3.25% rate. I'm sorry, 3.125% rate, which is awesome. They saved him $291 a month. Huge, awesome. Servicers doing what they need to be doing for the client, right? Wrong. So I said to the client, I said, hey, remember that ultimately what we had planned on was we were going to go to a conventional loan, and that conventional does not have mortgage insurance, or you can buy out your mortgage insurance. So the plan was that you were going to have enough equity at some point. We can do the refinance to where you don't have it, or you're going to be so close to where we can actually buy that mortgage insurance out. So I then showed him this, and I showed him that our loan amount would have been $269,993, almost $2,000 less than what the servicer did. Our interest rate would have been 2.875, 0.3% less. I'm sorry, 0.25% less than what the servicer did. And we would have saved him $521 a month. So with that $521 a month, it depends upon what he wants to do. But what I then show is, and I show this with all clients, is that if he took that $291 a month that his servicer was saving him, and if they made the same mortgage payment on a monthly basis that he was making before, he would be able to shed about 6-7 years off of his mortgage from where he would have been before. With us, he would have shed 10 years off of his mortgage. So the reason why I bring this up is because just over a 60-month period of time, the interest that the servicer would have saved him would have been $15,000. We would have saved him $33,000. So 15,000 plus on interest just in 60 months. Over 15 years, the servicer would have saved him $137,000. I'm sorry, interest that he would have paid was $137,000, where with us, he would have paid $71,000. So, that's a $60,000, $70,000 difference in interest alone. So the reason why do I share that with you? Because I share that with you because it's an excellent opportunity for you guys to reach out and to call your sphere, to call your clients, which is really the first idea of the move up buyer is calling your clients, calling your sphere, and just simply saying, have you had a mortgage review? Are you looking at refinancing? Are you loving your house? And doing that. And so really asking the questions that we ask during the mortgage review. How are you enjoying your house? Is it still working for you? How are your neighbors? And what are your long-term plans? You don't need to ask them, hey, are you looking at buying or selling in the next 6 to 12 months? Or, who do you know who's buying and selling in the next 12 months? But instead it's, Who do you know that needs a mortgage review? Who do you know that could obtain, that would like this same information to see if the current mortgage that you're in is working for you, or should you look at something else? Now, whenever we find a client that ultimately says, you know what, my current house is working for me, but it's not super stellar. I really wish we had an extra bedroom. I really wish that we had an extra bathroom. I wish that there was room out back for a she shed or a he shed, some sort of a shed, whatever it is. So that goes into the move up side. Now that's where you can consult with your sphere and with your clients. Just have a conversation with them, find out what they may be looking at. Now remember, fear, one of the fears is financial uncertainty moving forward. So they're nervous about that. So what I wanted to share with you was really what this could look like. And we're happy to create these reports. These are called total cost analysis for your clients. So we're happy to have a mortgage review with them, and we can have it with you on the phone and doing a Zoom with your clients. But ultimately, this is just a fictitious client here where we may have helped them several years ago. Their interest rate's 4.625%. They haven't refinanced yet. Their current mortgage payment is $1,285 a month. Now, they've got a current loan amount of $232,000. Their current value is $375,000. So, with that, it's they're looking at their house and they're wishing they had an extra bedroom. Maybe they've had an increase in their family size during COVID here. Ironically, being at home longer, sometimes that happens. So, or maybe they've increased their family size and husband or the spouse, the wife, they're working from home. So they really could use an office at their house instead of the big great room that's there and whatnot. So one thing that we can look at is, this client can say, hey, what if I refinanced and added those things onto our house if there was an ability? Or what if I just refinance just to save money right now because I am really nervous about the economy? Well, yeah, we could refinance them, take them from 4.625 down to 2.875. Does that make sense for the client? Especially with the fact that they're looking at, they're already starting to have ideas about potentially moving. I always place a seed of doubt in that refinance at that time. And I always tell the client, let's pause for about a week, maybe even 2 weeks. I want you to really ponder about your house. I want you to really ponder about, does a refinance make sense to you? And if it does, how long can you potentially stay in your house? I mean, is this something that you should probably move sooner rather than later? And that. So I don't want to refinance people just to refinance them. If it makes sense, saving them $322 a month, that's massive. That's huge. We'd love to help them. But we want to help them make wise decisions, wise financial decisions. And I'll show you why here in a second. So ultimately, they say, you know what, we've got an opportunity. We have 5% down in the bank. We can afford both mortgage payments. So show us what a mortgage payment would look like if we bought $75,000 more, a $450,000 house. Show us what a mortgage payment would look like. Well, a mortgage payment at 2.875% would look like $1,909 a month. And so your loan amount would be $427,500. So it'd be $1,909 a month. And that would include, let me just confirm here. Yep, that includes mortgage insurance, but does not include taxes and insurance. So nor does their current include taxes and insurance either. So this is just, again, a fictitious to kind of help you see. But ultimately, $1,909 a month. So we know that their house payment is going to go up roughly $623 a month. So client, are you okay with it going up $623 a month? and the client said, you know what, for the short term, I'm fine with that, but I'd really like to have a lower payment. And we just say, hey, you sell your house, take that equity, pay it down on your mortgage, and your servicer may work with you if they're one of the right servicers to do a reduction in payment for you, because you just put really $100,000, $120,000 down on the mortgage. That would then bring your mortgage payment within $83 of where it currently sits with your house payment and your mortgage insurance. So that would make a lot of sense. And this is the big thing, helping your clients to be able to see their payments $1,285 here. It now becomes $1,639 here. And the big thing is that they don't have mortgage insurance when they put so much money down on the house. So get down to $1,639. Again, that's an $83 difference. So client
$1,369.
I'm sorry, did I what 1369?
You're saying $1,639.
Oh, sorry. I get dyslexic every time. So but it saves the clients, it costs the clients $83 more per month at this point, and they're saying, I can do that. That's okay. Even though I'm nervous about the financial aspect of what's going on, that's okay. Now, the other thing is that helping your client to be able to see, what, in today's market, maybe what you want to do is maybe not put the money towards the mortgage, but maybe what you do instead is take that extra money that you would put into the mortgage, and maybe you put that money into an investment. So an additional $97,500 into an investment, making 5%. Now's an opportunity for you and I, as the realtor, to be able to refer your client to a financial planner, and the financial planner will love us because we're giving them a client that has $100,000 roughly in assets to be able to invest, and that money just over 15 years grows to $206,000. Now, when we're looking at a strategy and we're looking at a long-term investment, it depends upon this client. It depends upon the move-up side of this client. Is it payment that they're worried about? Or are they emotionally tied to that payment? If it is, then put that money towards the mortgage and get that payment put back down towards only $83, $83 difference. And now that client has an extra bedroom and maybe has an office. But the big benefit here is over 15 years, when we're looking at 15 years for the client, they'll generate a net worth in their current house of roughly $647,000. If they refinance, that net worth is a little bit lower, $638,000. If they purchase a new house at 5% down, their net worth increases to $676,000. If they put a big chunk down on their mortgage, they're paying their mortgage down faster, so therefore their net worth increases to $735,000. But if you look at the investment strategy, and that's why I say so many times, strategy is the most important thing in making a mortgage decision, not interest rate, not what type of loan program are you doing, but the strategy behind that loan program and how we're going to structure that loan to help you create wealth. Because ultimately, this client, your client that decides to move up, sell their house, buy a new house, ultimately taking the $97,500, putting into an investment over 15 years, their net worth is, what is that, $140,000, $150,000 more than it would be without that investment strategy, without putting that money in there. So that's where really helping your client, through a mortgage review, through a real estate review, helping them to be able to see the different paths that can be accomplished, can absolutely be huge, absolutely huge. And through this, you can see that there's value. My father used to always say that numbers don't lie. So, through this, the client then can see, if they're financially worried about things to come, Maybe they want to follow strategy 4. They want to take that 97.5 and instead of putting it into their mortgage, instead of trapping it in the equity of their mortgage, and the only way is to get it out is to refinance. Maybe what they do is they put that money into the investment that they can pull out. So if they're without a job for 6 months due to COVID, and they're laid off for 6 months and everything tightens down and kind of, Armageddon's happening and everything, at that point they can live off of that money. So now we've been able to bridge that gap of them being worried about financial aspects going forward. We've been able to help bridge the gap, and we can show them that 5% on 5% growth on a $450,000 house is higher than 5% growth on a $375,000 house. So you're going to make more money. So it just logically makes more sense. The emotional side, it's going to be really tough to get over. I mean, just at the end of the day, it's going to be tough. But a lot of times we've been able to help a lot of clients through this process of seeing the total cost analysis, seeing the numbers, seeing what's accomplishable, and they have gotten off the fence with that. So, so what questions do you have? I don't see.
I have a question on refinancing.
Yeah.
It used to be just a flat, if you could save 1 percentage point, then go ahead and refinance. Is that kind of still what you're looking for?
No. What I have a tendency to do is I look at whether we can save 10% of the monthly payment. That's my threshold. So for higher, because that philosophy really came into play when loan amounts were $150,000. So when I first got in the business in 1998, that was really the common thing. If we could save you 1%, it just made sense to refinance. But today, it could be, we're saving you 0.25%, but we are getting rid of your mortgage insurance, which mortgage insurance companies are not removing the mortgage insurance. They're not being very kind to remove the mortgage insurance. And in fact, some mortgage insurance companies have gone to a stance of you signed in your mortgage contract that instead of we are terming equity, or that 20% equity, as you've paid your mortgage down 10 to 12 years and you've gotten that equity that way, not appreciation and the pay down of mortgage. So a lot of mortgage insurance companies are not removing the mortgage insurance, just because you have 20% equity, you get an appraisal on that. So again, it really goes to strategy. It could be a client that had an adjustable rate mortgage. We have a client right now that has an adjustable rate mortgage. They did our 1% down teacher program. They bought a house last year, and they're like 4.25% interest rate, and we're lowering them down to 3% and doing a refinance for them there. That's over a 1% difference. But with that, we're also removing mortgage insurance as well. So with them, that just makes a lot of sense, getting out of adjustable into a 30-year fixed. And that was their strategy. So it really goes, again, Tracy, to strategy. It could be, we're saving you 0.25%, but we're getting rid of mortgage insurance. It could be, we're saving you 0.5%, but we're lowering your payment on a monthly basis by $500 because you owe much less on your mortgage, and you're going to take your mortgage, your current house, and make it a rental. So, but we're re-amortizing the payment to where now your house will cash flow.
Gotcha.
There's so many different paths, and that's why we do the total cost analysis. I had a client that literally we were saving him almost 2 percentage points in interest rate from when we originally did his loan, and we helped him with his loan back in, I want to say 2013 or so. He then had several rental properties. He's sold them since. He took that money and paid down his mortgage. So we ran the numbers, and he's on track right now to pay his mortgage off in 10 years. We saved him all of about 4 months in a refinance, lowering his interest rate, taking the savings on a monthly basis, putting it back into the mortgage with all of that, because where he was with his amortization and everything, he's now paying down a lot more principal. When we refinance, he's going to be paying a lot towards interest again at the very start of that mortgage, and the way amortization works. And so it literally caught up, and it was 4 months that we saved him. And
Oh,
so
wow.
he and I both looked at it and said, it doesn't make sense. I mean, and we're getting them down to, it was like 1.5 or 2% rate savings. And we were getting them down in the twos. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, do you see that it makes sense? Again, we go through the total cost analysis, and we're both looking at that because I share it with the client on the screen right at the time. And he's like, well, I don't think it makes sense. And I'm like, I don't either. So numbers don't lie, but it again goes back to that strategy. What is the most important thing to you in the mortgage? Is it saving some money? Is it paying off early? Is it, maybe it's a refinance to pull money out to buy a rental? So there's just so many different aspects. Great question.
Gotcha.
Any other questions, guys?
Let's see here. So Charita has a question. Can you read it, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, just recently had a client who closed on a home loan, let's see, August 2.75%. Her lender sent her a letter offering a refinance at 2.5. When is the soonest? Yeah. So again, that's a servicer. I would suspect that's the servicer that's doing it. So to drop 0.25% interest rate would make no sense at all. And those are the games that servicers are playing. So I didn't get back with the servicer, the story that I shared you. So I told the client, I said, you did have fees. And he said, no, I didn't have any fees on my mortgage. And I said, but wait a minute, your mortgage went up from 261 up to 271. So you had fees. Maybe you didn't pay any fees out of pocket, but you had fees on your loan. And so he then looked and he said, Walt, you're absolutely correct. And I completely missed that. What he was so fixated on was that $291 a month that he was saving. He didn't even pay attention to the fact that, that ultimately cost him $10,000 to do that refinance. So those are the games that the servicers are playing. And, and I want to get this story out to everybody because it is so, so important. Because to get a letter for a refinance at 2.5%, I mean, the client just did their loan at 2.75. I wouldn't see it would ever, her payment would probably go up because she's going to have fees at 2.5%. So yeah. So to answer your question, I mean, you can refinance with the same person that originally did the loan. You can refinance up to, it takes about 6 months. You can refinance with them. But another person can refinance you right away. However, there's a law called churning, and the company that the client that I referenced, that servicer has been in, I'll call it churning jail multiple times, where they've got spanked from the feds for just refinancing clients, not dropping them down as low, and then refinancing them again, collecting more fees, and not not taking their interest rate all the way down, not giving the client really guidance and counsel as to what they should do. So that's why this, I really felt, I think, inspired, and I really feel it's super important, guys, to reach out to your current clients, reach out to everybody that share this story, and just talk to your people and say, hey, are you looking at? I mean, how are you enjoying your house? Because more and more people are not enjoying their house. They're getting frustrated with their house. Frustration levels in the U.S. have been rising for quite some time. And so they're getting frustrated with their house, and they're nitpicking things on their house and whatnot. And so if we can show them a different path and help them be happy, get them into a different house that works better for them, that's positive. if we can get them wise counsel on a refinance, that's positive. And so, I'm here to be able to help. Susan's here to be able to help any of your clients to be able to get the right information and that. And we're going to be the first to tell a client, hey, you shouldn't refinance. I mean, if you're looking at selling in the next 2 years, don't refinance. Why would you want to refinance? If you're going to do that, let's look at the numbers and let's see if there's a world that it would even make sense in. But ultimately, if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. Sit tight for a couple of years and then sell your house. So we're not in it to refinance just to refinance clients. We want to make sure they're making wise decisions, and we want to help you with your move-up buyers as well. We want to help you with inventory. So if there's a buyer that you speak to that's on that fence, reach out to us. We'll create a total cost analysis for them. We'll go over the information with them. We'll do a Zoom call with you and them on the phone, and just see, again, does it make sense? Does it make sense with their overall long-term plans? So happy to help your people. Did you guys find value in this class today?
I did.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Walt. Thanks for bringing that to us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at our next one.
Yep.
And if you guys are selling houses, Fidelity can help you with your escrow. So reach out to your sales executive and see how we can help you guys get more business.
Definitely.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, Tracy. Thanks for hosting for us.
You're welcome. Awesome. You guys have a great week.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
day.